Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a step into r/BestOfRedditorUpdates. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. And of course, quick disclaimer, any opinions that I give on the post we read today are just opinions, not facts, do not need to be taken as such. If you have a different opinion, that is great. Do feel free to share it in the comments, just make sure you're keeping it respectful with each other. There is no need to be mean just because you do not agree. With that being said, let's get into it then, shall we? So this first one was posted by Choice Evidence 1983 and the title says, "Am I overreacting by stepping back from my parents after finding out how they plan to leave everything to my older sister?" So of course, Choice Evidence is not the original poster. I like to play DMC is the original poster. Choice Evidence is the person who compiled it together for us like a lovely little bean. The original post was posted to r/am I overreacting, and we have some trigger warnings for favoritism. So, posted June 22nd, 2026. I'm 27F and have an older sister who's 35F. Growing up, my parents were always very big on independence and responsibility. They made it clear that once we became adults, we were expected to handle our own lives. I really took that to heart. I worked through college, lived with my roommates to keep my expenses down, and built everything for myself step by step without asking them for help. It wasn't always easy, but I'm genuinely proud of where I've ended up. I have a stable career now, I'm in a good relationship, and for the first time in a long time, my life feels steady. My sister's path has been very different. She's never really been able to get fully settled. She has tried a few different jobs over the years, but nothing has really stuck. There always seems to be some new issue, some reason it doesn't work out. My parents have stepped in over and over again, helping her with rent, paying bills when she gets behind, and giving her money to help her make it through the month. For a long time, I told myself it wasn't worth keeping score. I figured maybe that was just how families were supposed to work. I mean, it's not how they're supposed to work, but it's unfortunately how I see a lot of them actually working. Helping the person who needed it more. But a few days ago, when we all got together this summer, they brought up something that really threw me off. And the thing as well, I know the OP says there, I told myself it wasn't worth keeping score, and that is something that I do wholeheartedly agree with, like, most of the time. You know, you can't keep a like-for-like score when it comes to, like, family and, like, what they do for you or what you've done with them and blah, 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 because obviously that's a bit overbearing. It's fair enough to be like, okay, I'm doing everything for people and they do literally nothing for me, so I need to step back and stop putting myself out so much. But you know, it's a natural way of give and take if sometimes you do a little bit more for someone or they do a little bit more for you, you know, when you're in need, whatever. That's quite a natural dynamic. So I do think like keeping a like for like score is quite a toxic mindset to have. But I do understand that when it's like, wait, they get everything and I get nothing, it's hard not to notice that and, you know, take note of that. So I get that. My parents asked to speak to us both about their future plans. They're getting older and their health hasn't been great, so they've started putting things in order legally. During that conversation, they told us that most of what they have, including the house and their savings, will go to my sister. Their reasoning was that she won't be able to manage on her own without that support. I am sorry, but she is an adult. It is time for her to suck it up and figure it out on her own, at least to some extent. You can't just cut out your other kid because your 35-year-old daughter refuses to pull her shit together. And I'm not being funny, but is the reason she doesn't have her act together and still has never bothered to get it together maybe because the parents keep bailing her out? Have they considered that? Then, almost immediately after saying that, they told me that they want me to be the one handling everything else. Medical decisions, finances, paperwork. Basically making sure everything is taken care of if something happens to them. Now, again, I don't think it's fair to keep a like-for-like tally on I do this for you, you do this for me, but I will tell you one thing for certain. If I had parents that never helped me out, never, were in my corner, always did everything for my sister and never did anything for me, and then they said, oh, but, when we're at the point where we can't make medical decisions, financial decisions, paperwork shit, or, when we pass, we want you to deal with all of that stuff, I would tell them to go themselves. Absolutely not. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of quiet resentment before. It wasn't even really about the money. It was the feeling that I've spent my whole adult life proving I can stand on my own, and somehow that has turned into me being expected to carry everyone else too. I tried to explain how hurtful that felt, but they kept telling me I should be more understanding. Yeah, no. No. Since then, something in me has shifted. I don't call as often, I don't jump in to help the way I used to. When my dad asked me to come over and help sort through some documents last week, I told him that I couldn't and that maybe my sister should start taking on some of that responsibility. That didn't go over well. I mean, what did they expect realistically? Did they really think that they could be like, yeah, we're leaving you nothing and giving everything to your sister, but we expect you to do everything for us? Like, how are they so dense that they're not seeing how that's just going to cause someone to completely peel away from you? Like, the entitlement is insane. My sister called me afterward, sounding uncomfortable and apologising, even though none of this is really her fault. I told her I wasn't angry at her. I was hurt by the way our parents are treating us differently. Now everything feels tense. Every interaction feels careful and strained. I feel guilty about abandoning them, but it's unfair I take all the responsibility while my sister gets all the support. Am I overreacting? Absolutely not. I think it's completely understandable to step back because I'm not being funny. When you get shown by people that you putting in an effort for them only ends in you being punished in some way or another, or oh, you did that so well, you can do everything else. And then it's almost like these people get it into their heads that you must like doing this because you do it so well. It's like, no, clearly I'm just the only person who's on the ball. And now you have me to do things for you, so now you don't feel the need to actually try, So no, I would be saying absolutely not. And I'm not the sort of person either that I think, oh, when my parents die, what am I going to be left? I couldn't really give two craps, and I doubt I'll be left anything because it's not like we have, money in the family or anything like that. So I don't really care about any of that stuff. But if we did, and one of the siblings got everything and the rest of us got nothing, I'd be like, what the hell? It's not so much what you are getting or what you're not getting. It's like the disrespect, the just way that you've clearly been looked over completely, the way that it makes you feel like they don't care about you as much as they care about them, and you then feel used because of all the effort you have put in on helping them with stuff. You know what I mean? It's just a bit of a slap in the face, isn't it, really? It's not about the monetary value, it's about the way it makes you feel about the way they feel about you, I suppose. Listen, it's late at night, so I feel like my thoughts are not quite coming across the way I want them to, but I feel like that makes enough sense to pass. So then we have an editor's note saying that the OOP did not leave any comments on the original post. So, top comments. Commenter 1, not overreacting. If they are leaving everything to her, then she, editor's note sister, needs to step up and do the hard part because, trust me when I say, trying to take care of aging parents is hard. Exactly. So the OP is expected to do all of that while still holding down their own life. And all of the responsibilities they have. Like, that's crazy. Commenter 2, they will give everything to older sis who will piss it away and still expect little sister to help her out of the mess. Everything should go into a trust and OP should be the responsible party. Honestly though, if I was OP, I wouldn't even want to be that. Like, if it goes into a trust, I wouldn't even want to be the person who's responsible for the trust, because then who's the sister going to be nagging at all the friggin' time? Can I have some of that money? Can I have some of that money? It's going to be the OP. At this point, I'd be like, I'm just walking away. from all of it. Like, it annoys me greatly that the only thing that the OP's parents plan to leave them in their will is a 35-year-old grown child, like, to deal with. I hate that so much for the OP. And whether it's the sister's, like, fault or not, like, because obviously the sister clearly didn't know this was going to happen and was blindsided too and feels guilty, it doesn't matter. It's still going to turn out that the OP is going to be responsible for their older sister and everything else and get nothing for it. Commenter 3, decline to be POA, being designated as medical durable power of attorney, etc. If they still name you as executor of their will, you do not have to accept. Say no. Yes, definitely say no. Maybe they need to sit down with a lawyer and a financial advisor and set up a legal trust for your sister so you don't need to be involved at all. You have every right to feel like you do. And then commenter 4 says, not overreacting. OP, they're telling you that you should do all the work and then let your sister take all the money and property, and that won't be the end of it. I bet you'll have to help your sister once she blows through the money and can't afford the house. OP, I would go no contact. If the sister is getting bulk of the inheritance, then she needs to do the work and step up. I think it's imperative that you take a large step back. Your parents created a monster not really capable of surviving on her own, and they're setting you up to be her parent once they're gone. Exactly, and I know at the start that the OP, what was their exact words? Let's just go back for a second. They made it clear that once we became adults, we were expected to handle our own lives. They were very big on independence and responsibility, but it seems that that rule was only ever in place for the OP, because they've literally been holding up the OP's older sister this whole time. So what the hell? It's definitely a favoritism thing, and less of, oh, we expect all of our children to do this thing. No, they expected OP to do that, and then the OP's sister could just do whatever the hell she wanted, clearly. Update, June 23rd, 2026, next day. So, after reading through all the advice and messages, I realised the sooner I step back from this situation, the better it would be for me. Exactly. I called my parents today and tried to explain how I felt. Part of me still hoped they might understand, even though I knew they probably wouldn't. I gave specific examples, how I've supported myself since college, and never asked them for financial help. Well, they've consistently stepped in for my sister when she struggled. I brought up the estate conversation too. It hurt to hear that most of what they have will go to her because she needs it more. Well, I'm expected to take on all the responsibility, medical decisions, finances, paperwork when things get difficult. It made me feel like my role in the family is based on what I can handle, not how I'm valued as their child. Honestly, I would have hated to be that sister as well on that conversation, because one, imagine that's literally your parents being like, yeah, she's just fucked up and she can't deal with herself, so she's gonna have to have this money because she can't handle herself as an adult. Embarrassing, my goodness. But also, how awful would it be, unless her sister was like, yes, I actually wanted this, which it sounds like she didn't, because she rang up sounding very embarrassed and apologising and whatnot. How awful would it be to be the sister sat there and you know that you're getting everything and your sister's getting nothing? I would be like, no, you can't do that. I don't want you to do that. That was me. I'd be telling them not to. It'd make me feel so uncomfortable and so put on the spot myself as well. They didn't really let me finish. They kept interrupting and repeating that I'm independent and capable and that my sister isn't. So this is just how it has to be. Yeah, but your sister could be if she put in some effort to be. We've had nothing here to say that there is any physical reason she is not capable or mental reason she's not capable. It's just that she's just clearly been having the parents hold her up this whole time. When I said it still felt unfair, they got defensive and told me not to expect anything from them. At one point, they even said that if I truly cared, I should be helping more with my mum's care. That was the point where something clicked for me. Being capable doesn't mean I don't have limits, and it doesn't mean I should carry everything, absolutely. I told them that I couldn't accept a situation where I'm excluded from support, but expected to take on all the responsibility. I think that's the point for me where I would literally go no contact with these people, because it would truly show me where I sit in importance in their heads. And I would realize that, honestly, I was a Cinderella to them, basically. I am here to clean up your mess, and I am here to do what you want me to, but I am not allowed to have an opinion. I am not allowed to speak. I am basically here to be a skivvy for you. And that is the point where I would be going no contact, I'm not gonna lie. I said that they should completely remove me from their will and any roles like executor or medical power of attorney. I don't want anything from them, financially or otherwise. I also told them that they should plan accordingly, whether that means hiring help or making other arrangements, because I'm no longer willing to take that on. The call ended badly. Yeah, I imagine it did. There was a lot of yelling and crying, and I eventually hung up. But afterwards, I felt something I hadn't felt in a while. Relief. Like a weight I didn't even fully realise I was carrying is finally gone. Yeah, because I bet before your brains even had chance to realise it, your body knows that this is wrong. So you subconsciously have registered that the way they're treating you all this time is wrong. You know, the resentment is building and what have you in the back of your mind, and you push it back because a lot of people feel, I shouldn't feel that way about family. I should be helping family, especially when it's drummed into you from a young age. And then, yeah, when that snap comes and you realise I'm not doing this anymore, the relief it must give, I can only imagine. I have a good life, I have a supporting partner, a stable home, and I'm preparing to start my PhD. We're even talking about starting a family. For the first time, I feel like I can focus on my own future without this constant sense of obligation hanging over me. I don't know what happens next with my parents, and I'm sure things will stay tense for a while, but for now, I feel at peace with the boundary I set. TLDR, I stepped away from the responsibility they expected me to carry and chose to prioritise my own life. Now again, OOP didn't leave any comments back to the comments in the update, so that's where we're leaving it, but I'm so glad that the OP just decided to tell them where to sling the hook to be quite fair. That's just not on, is it? And yeah, it's clear that there's been favouritism, I think, before the OPs even had chance to realise it. I bet you this was something, a favouritism thing from even growing up. It sounds like OP has just been treated as the family dog's body, and it's not okay. So, down in the comments of the Best of Redditor Updates post, Mordax Tenebrae says, makes me think of that saying along the lines of, congrats, the reward for you doing good work is even more work. Yeah, basically. And then Talise in WI says, it's like pinball. The reward for doing it once is the opportunity to do it again. And then Copperfeather says, never thought of it before, but that is the most accurate description of pinball I have ever heard in my life. It is, actually. I haven't played pinball in a long old time. My dad used to have like a really old pinball game on his PC, which it was like one of those white PCs that looked like a literal friggin' brick. And yeah, I remember I used to play it, but it would get really frustrating because looking back now, I'm almost certain it was only like a free demo. So there was only so much you could actually do on it. So yeah, it's like, I think that's the last time I actually played pinball, thinking about it now. Okay then, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for the day. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Governor Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Don't forget to leave an offering of a comment for Big L. Bye!